Okay, so for today, what we are going to be doing is doing statistics on the graphing calculator. So I'm going to pull up this one worksheet for a second. So 10.5 day 2 is doing box and whisker plots. We've done them by hand already. Now we do them on the calculator. You need to remember the calculator instructions. So I'm going to go back to this other sheet for a second. And the idea is we've already learned how to enter lists of data on the calculator. So what we need to do is using those on the graphing calculator. By the way, hopefully your RAM is all cleared. But using the 10.5 day 2 worksheet, we need to enter in these scores for those 16 kids onto the calculator. So what you need to start doing is entering in those scores. So I'm going to pull the calculator up. I'm going to slide this down a little bit. I know that I have to go to stat, and then I'm going to go to edit. Let me come over here. Stat, enter. And I'm going to start typing in numbers. So 68, 63, 70, 77, 75, 62, 73, 63. And then I need to get to 77, 72, 75, 65, 72, 63, 71, 73. So I know that I've got all those numbers in there. I can do a quick check to make sure that they're right. Now the idea, what's pretty nice, is you can see here in blue where I've got all these numbers in order. Okay, so I put those in order manually, but the calculator can put them in order too. So if you look back at your stat sheet, not to clear a list, but if you come down to sort a list, you can sort your lists in order by going to stat. I'm going to do that right now. By going to stat, and then by going down to sort A. Sort A stands for sort in ascending order, means going from smallest to largest. You could sort in descending order, but we're not worried about that right now. So we want to sort in ascending order. When you hit enter, you have this opening just kind of like it is here. So I want you to type the list name. Well, we put all of our stuff into list 1. List 1 is above the number 1. So I'm going to go to second list 1, close the parentheses or not, and then hit enter. So the calculator is saying to you, well, I have now sorted in this list in ascending order. So if we want to view this, if we want to see if that's really true, then we're going to go back to the calculator. We're going to go back to stat. We're going to go back to edit. And lo and behold, those numbers are in order. So I'm going to go back to this one sheet and pull the calculator back up. So that's where we've got 62, 63 three times, 65, 68, 70, etc. So now everything is in order for you, and that's what's great. We could calculate the mean, median, and mode by hand, but we're doing the calculator first. So if I go back to the calculator instructions, in this next page, it talks about getting the mean. By the way, the mean should have this little bar above the X. That's what you're going to see in the calculator. So to calculate the mean, we're going to look for this little sign, median, min, max, quartiles. We're going to go back to stat. So I'm going to come up here. I'm going to go back to stat, right? So I'm happen to be right here on this stuff, boinka. So stat, I'm going to go over to calc, and I'm going to keep my choice one, which is one variable statistics. You actually don't have to enter the list that you want, so you can actually cross this out. This you don't really need, okay? So let me just kind of go back here again. So I'm over to stat. I'm just going to hit enter, and if I hit enter again, I see all these things pop up. Well, what's cool is this X with the bar over it, that's your mean. That's the average of those 16 numbers. This little EX is called the sigma of X. It's the sum of all those 16 numbers. So if I added up all those numbers, I'd get 1,119. This is the sigma X squared, which we don't use for in our classes, and we don't use these standard deviations either. But this N16, that says, well, how many numbers are in my data set? And there were, in fact, 16. I'm going to go back here for one more second. So we know that there happened to be 16 students, right? Because it says to you, these are the scores for 16 kids. Well, when I bring the calculator back up, my N is 16. So the sum of all the 16 scores were 1,119. The average of all those 16 scores is 69.9375. This arrow means there's more information that still needs to be shown. So if I arrow down once, I see the min. The min is 62, and that's true. We got that there. If you arrow down again, you get the quartile 1 to be 64. You arrow down again, the median is 71.5. You arrow down again, quartile 3 is 74. and you arrow down again and you get your max. So what ends up happening here is if we did this thing by hand, we should be getting that same stuff. What I'm going to do first is try to put these values in. So I know that right now we've got, this is 62. I know that this over here was 77. I remember this was 75, 71 and a half, I believe. I'm pretty sure that this over here was 74. And I guess this one, 71 and a half, I think this was 64. Let's see if I did that right. 62, 64, 71 and a half, 74, 77. Okay, so let's actually do this by hand real fast. And we should be getting the same answers. So 16 scores, I'd have to break this down in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So here's the middle, which of course is a 71.5. My upper half, 1, 2, 3, 4, is right here. That's not it. Oh, I didn't put these in order. Ah! So somehow I messed this up. 75, there we go. So then my upper half of the data is right here, and that's our 74 because I've got 4 numbers on either side. The maximum for sure is there. The lower half of the data, 1, 2, 3, 4, is here, which is the 64, and then the minimum guy for sure is there. All right, so all those things were done by hand. We can now create a box and whisker plot using these data values. So the box and whisker plot, don't forget you need a number line. So on your number line, I think we can go by ones. 62, 63, 64, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 71, 2, 3, 4. So I've got this being 62, 64, 66. I'm just going up by 2 so it'll be a little bit neater. 70, 72, 74, 76, and that's where I'm going to end it. Remember, you plot all your data points. Here's the minimum. Here is my Q1. Here is my median. Here is my Q3, and here is my max. Don't forget, you got a box from Q1 to Q3 with the line segment down the median, and then you have your whiskers from the max and the min to those quartiles. So there's the box and whisker plot. Again, it looks like the majority of the data happens to be falling right here in this percentile and this second quarter of data, but that's not really true. It just has the biggest range of data. The first quartile has the range of 1. The second quartile has a range of 6, has a range of 1, has a range of 2. So that's why it looks like there's more numbers in the yellow part, but there's not. There's still 4 numbers, just the range is different. Well, what's kind of cool about box and whisker plots is you can do them on the calculator. So we'll do the last one of these on the calculator. I'm going to go back to my calculator instructions for a second, and I'm going to go down to this part to construct the box and whisker plot. I'm going to pull this calc back up, and I'm going to follow the instructions where it says to go to stat plot, or second y equals. It says turn plot 1 on, so I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to hit enter again to make sure that it's on. When I arrow down to type, I want to go to the 5th graph, the middle of the 2nd row. That's the box and whisker plot, and I'm going to hit enter, and everything changes automatically. And now if I do a zoom 9, I get my box and whisker plot, and it looks just like the one that we did on our own. Let me pull this up. So it looks like there's more of a range in here of numbers. It looks like there's more numbers there, but there's not, just a bigger range. And then the last thing in the calculator instructions, it says to you that if you hit the button trace, you're going to see where the bumps to the median, which is 71.5. If you hit the right arrow, it hits you to quartile 3, which we knew was 74. Hit the right arrow again, you've got 77 as your max. Go back, go back, go back. Quartile 1 is 64, and then the min is 62. Okay, so that's really all that you're doing. There happen to be 2 other ones here. I am just going to give you those values for the mins, quartiles, etc. It'd be great for you to try it on the calculator. So on this one, when you do, it's actually in order for you already, but the min happens to be here, 90s, nope, 62. The quartile 1 is 67. The median ends up being 82. Quartile 3 is 89.5. And then the max happens to be 97. If you did do this on the calculator, then the average or the mean ended up giving you 79.95. Okay, and then I trust that you can do your own box and whisker plot. Let me just do the last example here. The birth weights, these are not in order, so you'd have the calculator put them in order for you. But when that happened, you find that the minimum value is 96. Quartile 1 ends up being 110. Your median ends up being 120. Quartile 3 ends up being 128. And then your max ends up being 136. Again, if you're doing this on the calculator, you'll find out that the mean ends up being 118.36. That should be 0.36, sorry. Okay, so again, the idea is you can use the graphing calculator to figure out all these numbers, but you can also do it by hand. So it's whatever you are more comfortable with. All right, so that's it. Bye.